A good day and welcome to Baobab Chats, a platform where Africans from all over the world meet to converse and discuss different issues. Things that are developmental in nature, things affecting our day to day lives. And on this show, the African Entrepreneurs Show, we speak to various entrepreneurs across the African continent or elsewhere in the world for them to give us, a glimpse into their journey, the things that they've gone through, the work that they are doing, and the brilliant, successes, challenges, and how this is being experienced out there. And today, for this show, I'm joined by Joseph Dhafana. Joseph, welcome to Baobab Chats.
Thank you very, very much for having me. I greatly appreciate it. For sure, my name is Joseph Tongai Dhafana. I'm a sommelier by profession, winemaker and the owner of Mosi Wines and Spirits, born and bred in Zimbabwe. Thank you very, very much for having me on this platform.
A lot of us actually know you from South Africa. So I hear you actually say you are originally from Zimbabwe.
Indeed, yes. I was born in Chirumanzu, Zimbabwe, and I got my primary and secondary education in Chirumanzu still. Then after that, I went to Gweru looking for a job, of course. Then I worked for Sino Zimbabwe Cement Company, which was a new company, which was actually the only one, if I'm not mistaken, producing cement in the Midlands province. So I worked for them from 2000 to 2007. Then 2009, that's when I decided to leave Zimbabwe for South Africa. Then since then, everything is just history. Yeah.
And this sounds like there's an interesting story. I hear cement and I hear wine, and these two, you can never be as much worlds apart as. But anyway, before we get there, we'll dive into exactly the business side of things. Joseph, can you just quickly take us through your upbringing, up to this stage where you have to start going to work, where you studied and things like that?
My dad or my father was a headman, and I grew up really seeing lots of things really happening back home in the rural areas of Chirumanzu. So then when I finished my ordinary level, that's when I moved to Gweru, which is actually still the biggest city in Midlands province. So after I got my job at Sino Zimbabwe Cement Company, I worked for them from 2000 to 2007. Then 2009, I left Zimbabwe with my wife with absolutely nothing. I didn't have even a passport. So I came to South Africa illegally. Now I can mention it without fear because I'm very legal here in South Africa. So I came down illegally using some illegal channels, of course. Stayed at the refugee camp in Musina for 2 weeks. Then I got an asylum. After that, we then moved to Johannesburg, and we stayed at Methodist Church, whereby the ladies were allowed to live in the church and also to sleep in the church. Us as gents, we were actually sleeping outside.
And Joseph, you are saying you were actually with your wife at this stage?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, you can continue.
So then we were actually sleeping outside as gentlemen, and we did that for 2 weeks. Food we could get in the streets, they were what do you call the sponsors or some sort, which were cooking food in the corners of Johannesburg. So we're getting food from that for those 2 weeks which we actually stayed in Johannesburg. Then a family cousin saw me on ETV News, and remember that time that was when Lucky Dube, the famous South African artist's trial, was actually going to court. So we had nothing to do in Johannesburg. So we were actually at the gates of the court, Johannesburg High Court, and somehow ETV camera just went past through my face. So when she was actually watching TV in Cape Town, she saw me. Then she did all the findings, tried her level best to get my contacts from back home all the way up until she managed to get hold of me. So then she sent some money. We We then bought a train, 28 hours journey from Johannesburg to Cape Town, and that's how we got to come to Cape Town. And so when we were here, I looked for a job as a gardener in Rebecca Still, which is a very small town in the Western Cape, 100 kilometers out of Cape Town towards Namibia route. So I worked as a gardener for about a year, right? So while I was working in the gardens, like different homesteads, I also got a job as a gardener at a restaurant. So by this I mean the restaurant was in front, the backyard was a garden which I tilled from a virgin land, and I managed to plow or plant vegetables, whereby they were spending less money on going to the market to buy lettuce, tomatoes, fresh chilies, and the like, because they were getting from the garden, which I managed to plant. So then the same owner asked if I can actually work in the kitchen, purely because they were short-staffed on the day. Then I moved and I jumped to the kitchen, washed the dishes with the mud on my feet, and did that on a Saturday and Sunday. Uh, Fast forward a week after that, he actually asked me to help him in the kitchen as like to prepare for like chefing sort of really. And I honestly didn't like it. Me seeing him really screaming, you know how chefs works.
Yeah.
Me seeing him screaming in the kitchen to all these other workers when I was actually washing the dishes. I declined the offer, of course, politely. And well, he didn't stop there. After a while, again, he asked me to jump in the bar and help on the day again when the barman didn't turn up for his duties, which I did, and he trained me a couple of things. So since that day, the barman never returned back, and I got to be a barman in that same restaurant. So I was actually still doing my jobs as a gardener. So I had like 3 jobs. So then from the barman, he then asked me if I can find someone to train so that the person can work as a barman. Then he could promote me to be a waiter, because we were then close to the World Cup, which was hosted here in South Africa, Soccer World Cup in 2010. So then I called my friend, a friend of mine who was based in Johannesburg. He came down, I trained him. Then I became to be a waiter. After that, I was quite fascinated on seeing how people were happy when they were having wines and all that stuff. So, and again, I was living in the middle of the vineyards. So I was also quite intrigued to know how can someone change a grape berry to wine. In 2013, that's when I enrolled with Cape Wine Academy in Stellenbosch, which is a sub-branch of Stellenbosch University.
How long do you then take doing these 3 specific jobs?
My first earnings in South Africa, my first buck, like really to put money in my pocket, was actually through the garden. So I didn't want to just leave that job, because that was really my prime income, like the only way which managed to feed my family, you know. So when I got to be a barman, I never thought of really dropping my garden job duties, you know. So I kept on doing that for a while, probably for a year, if I'm not mistaken, up until I was really, really busy with studies and also a couple of things. Then I'm like, I think it's now worth really dropping my garden duties. Of course, I was getting a bit of money there, and also with my studies, it was not balancing.
You make a decision to go and study, and you mentioned that you had interest in seeing you're living in the winelands around, you know, the wine farms there. How are people changing grapes to end up having wine? And you're seeing this happening around you, and you're saying this is where you find the interest to end up going to school. You can take us through that journey.
Well, look, I mean, Rebecca Still is actually nested in the middle of the vineyards, and whichever way you look at north, south, east, west, I mean, it's just vineyards and olive plantations. So during harvest, you could see tractors, you could see trucks, you could see farm workers in the vineyards and all that. And and it was just something which I've never experienced or seen in Zimbabwe at all. So I was like, I mean, honestly, how can one really convert a berry to that juice? And that time, to be honest, I was not really a drinker. I only started drinking wine in 2010. So that was the turning point of really when I started thinking and admiring what they were doing, you know. Then again with the studies, that's when everything just started to take a better shape and understanding. Then it got me really realize that there is a lot really to do and to take if you want to make wine. And I was not ashamed, or I would say I was not even frightened to put my hands on that and to try it. Really, I was like, let me just go for it. I want to try it. Probably one day I'll be able to own a farm or just a wine brand. But you know, sometimes dreams do come true, and that's when I really. Oh, today I'm owning a brand, wine brand.
Yeah. And in terms of course, you are fascinated by this, but you make a decision, a conscious decision to go to school and study specifically this. Who helps you in making the decision, in finding the right place to study, and in how to go about, balancing it all, and just that process?
Well, I did to make my own decision. To be honest, I mean, some of the things which I do, you'll be shocked. If I want something, and if I see future in that something, I'll make it happen. No matter how hard or how difficult that something is, I'll just make it happen, and I'll go for it. You know, I'm someone who is not really afraid or fear of change. If I need something, if I want it, I'll get it. That's me. I'm a go-getter, I would say. So when I made the decision and started enrolling with Cape One Academy, my wife was not even impressed, because imagine if you're getting $1, and out of that dollar, you want to remove at least 50 cents for studies. From that 50 cents, which is left in the house, you want to buy food, you want to buy clothes, you want to feed the family back home. You know, so it was quite, it was quite, it was quite difficult. It was such a tough decision to make. You know, so but at the end of the day, I to make one which was actually gonna help the family in the long run. When I was studying, I was actually helped a lot by people in Rebecca Steele, by the winemakers, the likes of Ibn Sadi, Chris Malenew, Andre Malenew, Roger Clayton, just to name a few. So I could go to those guys, ask questions, and they were helping me. They were helping me, really. They helped me a lot, and they were quite generous in so many ways. I remember very well, Ibn Sadi drove from Paardeberg, which was quite far from where I was actually living, picked me up to his wine farm with such a lovely day, tasting wines on the barrels, educating me and all that stuff, which was quite amazing. Chris Malenew did the same thing, and it's really a world which is quite unique. Like it's a different world. Wine industry, wine world. It's a very, very generous world, very interesting world, I must say, which is really worth trying to those who want to venture into that ground.
And this is why we love Baobab Chats, and why I love the work we do at Baobab Chats, because many people would basically from a distance not think that you hear about the wine industry, what you're saying right now, because a lot of us, when we see people who are in the wine industry, you think posh people with a lot of money, people with class, people living above everyone else, people who are wealthy, generational wealth. So it's surprising when you hear and you meet someone who has experienced this firsthand, and they tell you the generosity and the niceness of people in this industry, and looking at where you are coming from and getting into that world. That's amazing.
Yeah, look, class, you can give it to us. We'll take it gladly. We do really have class, because we are privileged to be able to put our hands on so many wines in South Africa, so many wines across the globe, and we really drink good wines, I must say. But then in terms of wealthy and money, I'm one of the few probably who are yet to confess. I mean, best even from my mentors, I really remember vividly when Chris Malin and Ibn Sadi were like, "There's no really money in making wine," and when I got into wine, I was not even actually looking to be wealthy. I just wanted to fulfill my passion, So money, yes, it will come. Money is there to survive. Money is there to run the business, but then you won't see the money in just 5 years. If I may tell you, for the past 7 years, I've been actually involved in the wine production side, not just as a sommelier, but wine production, like owning my own brand. We started with 1 barrel of Shiraz and a barrel of Chenin Blanc. Only this year, even in the middle of pandemic, when we actually realized that, oh, well, Mosi is now being able to pay its own bills. Only now, after 7 years.
Wow.
All the past 6 years, I've been forking out money from my pocket, from my savings and everything to make sure that Mosi is up and running.
All right. So Joseph, let's hold it there. Let's hold it there. You go to school, you finish school. Let's go back because we need to join the dots. When do you finish school? When do you decide to start your own brand?
Oh, well, I started studying in 2013. So starting to be a sommelier, it's a chain of studies. You can never finish. Up until now, I'm still eager and keen to learn more. You can't just say I have enough knowledge. No. So I started in 2013, first certificate February. Then February 2014, first harvest. So that's a year.
Okay. And how long was the initial studies you did when you you said Cape Wine School?
Cape Wine Academy.
School?
Yeah. Cape Wine Academy, I did the first, second, and third certificates, then diploma. It took me almost 4 years to finish off everything, but still, I kept on going. WSET, which is Wine and Spirit Education Trust, which is almost recognized in 66 countries in the world. Then Court of Master, which is the granddad of them all. I did that as well on a more introductory side. I think in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. It's called Court of Master London, or Europe, actually, Europe. But again, like I said, you can never stop learning about wine, because the wine world changes each and every day, because we rely on what we get given by Mother Nature. If we get drought the whole year, which means a lot has to be done, like irrigation. We're gonna have to know when and what to pick and how to pick. I mean, in terms of harvest. So it changes every day.
Wow. So from when you started studying to when you start, with 1 barrel, with the 2 barrels, you can now take us through that journey. How does it evolve? How does Mosi Wine evolve?
Well, look, some people say it's very easy to make wine. I believe anyone can make wine. The most important part is to know if you're making a very good product, which can be accepted out there by the masses, and also how to sell it. Selling wine is a mammoth task. Really, it's very difficult. So I'm not someone who buy juice, like processed juice, and to try to make it fancy and put my label on. No, I get involved. I harvest. I really get involved, like full hands on. However, I always have I'm fully employed as a head sommelier at La Colombe restaurant. So whenever I have time, I always get to the cellar, test from the barrels, do ABCD. So I have a lady or head wine, I would say cellar master, I would say, of Rebek Cellars, is the one who looks after my wines day in, day out. So she calls me if there's anything needs to be done, so that I can actually drive or say, look, I think we need to add ABCD, so let's do it. What's your suggestion? She tells me, or she advises me, then okay, cool, let's do it, or let's not do it. You know what I mean? So the decision at the end of the day is mine. So yeah, so I would say I'm very much involved. We started with 2 barrels now, which could give us like 600 or just under 700 bottles. Now we're making just under 12,000 bottles to date.
So you make 12,000 bottles a year.
Yeah, now like 2020 vintage, we've got 12,000 bottles.
All right. So in this process, do you do you buy the land? Do you rent land? Do you buy grapes or from finished from other producers, or you have your? How does this world work?
It's a very interesting chain. You do get farmers who are very good in just farming the grapes. Then they don't want to make wine. They will just sell the grapes. You
All
know,
right.
that's when we chip in. Boss, I don't have money to to buy land at the moment, so I just get in, buy or take whatever I can, then go make wine in someone's property. So we rent space in the cellar, and the grapes which I'm actually getting at the moment, I was given those by Chris Malenyo, who owns Malenyo and Leo Wines, and so he's the one who actually organized those vineyards for me, and that's what I'm actually using at the moment. But again, we use other people's space we rent space to make wine.
The name Mosi Wines. Where does it come from? And does it have any underlying meaning?
Indeed, yes. I mean, if you look at our label, it does have Victoria Falls. So Mosi is just to shorten Moswe Tunya, which means the smoke that thunders. That's the umbilical cord between Joseph and this country. I
All right.
know for a fact that it's debatable between the Zambians and Zimbabweans, but I think you have a better view when you're in Zimbabwe than in Zambia. So I'd like to claim it, though we share the boundary in a polite way, though. So think of Mosi, think of Zimbabwe.
Wow, great. And now, in terms of the 7 years, you say after 7 years, this is when Mosi has started being able to pay its own bills. Can
Yes.
you take us through how you have ramped it up from the 750 bottles to the 12,000 bottles?
Look, I would like to mention that I'm quite privileged in the sense that, I mean, it's not just being a sommelier which brings money to my account. I am a qualified wine judge now. I do lots of things which brings money. So if that's well, qualified wine judge with the University of Cape Town. So if you manage that very well, of course, and having goals, you actually reach the biggest goal. You actually get to achieve your goals, I must say. So we, when I say we, it's most and most is me, and we don't have more people actually involved in most in terms of we only get people on temporary basis when we need something to be done. So I was actually taking my savings. At some stage, I could actually borrow money from friends, having to give them back with interest. And we've done that twice thus far. And the friends were quite generous and very trusting, I must say. I mean, they trusted me in the to an extent of like being given uh, quarter of a million, sometimes more than just that. Sell the wines and manage to actually pay back the money, which was quite amazing. So all those things really helped most to be where it is right now.
Currently, where can one find Mosi Wines? What's your market? And at what level do you enter the market?
Uh, Mosi wines can be enjoyed for those who are in Europe. We have African wines in Netherlands. They actually like really buy a lot of our wines. Then we have Cape Wine in Germany. They also really bought a lot of our wines. We have a single importer. He's actually doing on like on private basis, but then I think he sells to his friends in Estonia, Vau Klaman. Then we've got someone promising to get our wines to London, maybe soon. And locally, which is in South Africa, we have Norman Goodfellows, which is in Cape Town. We have Open Wine, which is in Cape Town as well, and a few other restaurants in Johannesburg. Then Zimbabwe, we have Liquor Supplies. They also normally take a pallet of gin and wine as well. Then Kenya, under the influence, really buys a lot of our wines, and they are the biggest importers of our gin. So they really they're quite supportive. That's Kenya. And in Namibia, we have also someone who is actually getting to get our wines to Namibia. So those are the guys who are actually promoting us very, very much. Other than that, in Cape Town, you can go to Aubergine Restaurant in Gardens. They list our wines there. Or La Colombe Restaurant in Constantia, which is probably the best restaurant in Africa at the moment. They also have our wines. Or can I say we also have Mosi Wines, because at the head sommelier, I'm the one who lists the wines in any case. So yes, we have Mosi Wines at La Colombe Restaurant.
Wow. Plus 10 countries that you have already gone through. And this is, I think, that's quite a milestone. Why this is now for us who are not in this industry to understand, why would I not be able to get Mosi Wines in mainstream shop?
Anyone can buy online through our website, www.mosiwinesandspirits.com. You can actually get to browse the website. There's an online shop there. To answer your question, Mosi is a boutique wine producer. We haven't been making enough wines to send to those mass market distributors or stores, purely because when they're buying, they want to buy bulk. They want to buy 5,000 bottles at one go. So we did not have enough stock for them. However, it's not really an issue now. We can weigh and see if it's actually possible for us to give them those quantities without really depriving our clients, which have been supporting us from the beginning. You know what I mean? Like our regular clients.
Yeah.
So as soon as we get to an extent of making more, we'll be then able to approach them and say, hey, will you please will you be interested to trying our wines first and see if you like them? Then we'll be able to be listed with them. But it's not really an issue.
So at this stage, what stops Mosi Wine from producing so much? Is it about capital, or is it about you're still studying, your processes and making sure that all your things are in order before you make that commitment to go onto that level? Do you guys sell non-alcoholic?
At the restaurant, we had it during COVID, but then Mosi doesn't make non-alcoholic wines as of yet.
Also, you're not catering for my market. I don't qualify to be a
Mosi client. You do, but it's really difficult to sell non-alcoholic wines, especially if you are a very small producer. We will get to that as soon as we grow big and big. I mean, we will cater for you. I've got really so many people always ask me, when are you going to actually make non-alcoholic wines? I would like to buy some. It's really something which I'm actually considering. We can make probably one barrel. But anyway, so my what I was going to ask you is, yes, you drink wine, even if it's non-alcoholic. You don't want to pour the wine in your glass to the brim, right? You always want to pour less. The reason of that being, when you're sipping your wine, you always want your wine to be still cold or chilled. Now, if you fill to the brim, the time you're going to get to the bottom of the glass, it will be warm. And I don't want to put any ice cubes in my wine. That's spoiling it, So when we started this business...
Sorry. You just educated me there. So
that's the reason.
It was about the class.
It is class, yes, but also when one sees you really pouring that much, 200 mils, 300 mils, they know that this guy's got class. That's one thing for sure, guaranteed. But then again, the main reason is to make sure that you still drink your wine chilled. Now, if you fill to the brim, the time you're going to get to the half of the glass, it will be warm. Now, when you go into the bottom of the glass, it will be like tea. You're having tea. You don't want that. So I was saying, when we started the business, of course, we didn't have enough money to really make a lot of wine. But then it's always good, and we saw it worth really trying the waters with one barrel each and see if people actually accept our wines. So now that we're seeing people actually accepting our wines, they're enjoying our wines, they're getting good reviews and all that stuff, we can actually grow gradually. You know what I mean? So it's really, it's always good to start with the baby steps. But now we will be able to make a bit more and more because we still have access to grapes. We don't have a lot of money, but we can actually unlock some of the funds and make more wine.
Wow. Now, the future of where Mosi Wines is going. What do you see in the next, couple of years, decades? What do you see? Where do you want it to be?
I would like Mosi Wines to grow, I must say. It needs to, when I say grow, I'm not talking about the amount of money which I would have to see in the bank account. No, I would want to really see Mosi Wines enjoyed across the globe, and also, or most importantly, to create employment. I want Mosi Wines to employ not less than 20 people. We have to have people to help us, and also for them to feed the family, So Mosi has to grow, and there is room for us to grow. And we can only grow if we make very good product, and also if you have clients. So it's an appeal to those out there who really enjoys wines to try our wines. If they like the wines, please purchase, share with friends. Wine is not an ornament whereby you just keep it for hundreds of years. Buy, open, drink with friends and family, enjoy and replenish. That's also a way of helping us. By so doing, you'll be helping us to really make more and more. So the other goal which I've actually got in mind is I would want to go back home and make wines in Manicaland. I want to go and make and actually have vineyards in Manicaland. So that's I would say produce wines in Zimbabwe. So I will keep producing wine in South Africa. I want to produce wine in Zimbabwe too, not just sell wines in Zimbabwe. I want people to enjoy Mosi Wines made in Zimbabwe.
Wow. And I must say, interestingly, I've forgotten the name. We once went to a winery in Zimbabwe that is based in Marondera in Mash East. I'm forgetting the name of the winery.
I don't mind helping you there. I even know wines from Australia, wines from Napa Valley, or wineries in France, Austria, in most parts of the world. That's Mkuyu winery talking about, I believe.
Yes, Mkuyu winery. Yes, exactly. Yeah, you're right there. That's the only winery I've been to and I know of in Zimbabwe. But are there other ones that are there?
There was Rosawi, not there anymore. I recently tried Rosawi Melo 1978, which was superb. Really, really amazing. I mean, we used to make good wines in Zim back then, even though I was not born yet then, but I wish everything was actually maintained. But still, like I said, there's room for us to revive all that and start making wines again. I know Mkuyu is there, but there's some news that some of the vines were uprooted, and a lot has been actually happening there. And I just wish that we can collaborate, work together, and probably plant more vineyards. I mean, the good thing about the vines is a vine is got a very precious and good life cycle. You can really harvest from the same vine for close to 100 years, and you'll be still producing grapes, which can make you really feed the family, feed the country, feed the whole, like the continent. Honestly, I mean, vines are so special to me, and they're really amazing. They never stop produce. They can actually lessen the what do you call the harvest or the amounts of clusters you get per vine because of the age. But we have a vineyard here in South Africa which is quite old. The oldest, I think, it's 120, 121 years old now. and it's still producing, it's still making wine.
Still using the same plants.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, now in terms of what other work, does Mosi Wines do in terms of just in the community, other projects that Mosi Wines might be involved in besides just the business side of things?
I strongly believe in giving back to the community. Raised in a family which was mainly rely on subsistence farming, um, and a bit poor, I would say, walking to the school, sometimes barefoot. I think that there's still African child or children out there who are still facing the same hassle which I went through. So they need to be helped. So in 2016, if not 16 years, we auctioned a box of Mosi wines, which was actually sold for about 14,500, 16,000, sorry, 16,000 rand. And we managed to split that money. We sent some to Eziko School of Catering in Langa, the township of Cape Town. We sent some money to Goedgedacht Trust, which is an orphanage in Rebecca Steel, where I make my wines. Some of the money went to M. Hugo, which is AKA what is this school in Masungu again for the School of Blinds, Kopota School of Blinds. It's not called M. Hugo. So Kopota School of Blinds, we managed to pay school fees for one of the students there. Then when Cyclone Idai struck Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and some parts of Eastern Africa there, we as Mosi put some wines together, collaborated with Aubergine restaurant in Cape Town, where my wife works, and the owner is my good friend. I used to work there. We put our hands together, we made food and poured Mosi wines. We managed to get about 70,000 rands. Then we took all that money. We went to Mvuma, which is in Midlands province, close to where I was born. We built houses for 10 families, like from molding bricks. We bought door frames, we bought cement and all that stuff. 10 houses were built for 10 different families. Then we gave food hampers, including sanitary ware, to 30 different households in Vuma as well. So that's some of the things which we do if time permits and if we see really worth doing it. So we're really big in giving back to the community. Not that we have, but the little we have, we're willing to share with those in need.
And I must say, Joseph, that's quite humbling. That you said, after 7 years, Mosi Wines can only afford to pay its bills now. But Mosi Wines has already done quite a lot of work within the communities and giving back, taking up the notion of saying you don't start giving back when you have more than enough. And I think you guys have really embraced the concept of Ubuntu at a very deep level. And I think I would say heads off for that work that you have done.
Thank you very much.
African entrepreneurs across the globe. On this show, we speak to African entrepreneurs. And what are your words of encouragement, wisdom, or advice, or things that you just want to share with other aspiring entrepreneurs? Maybe you can talk to those who are aspiring to be in the same industry in which you are with Mosi Wines and African entrepreneurs in general.
Well, there's no goal which is too high, and if you put in hours, if you put in effort, hard work always pays off. You may not enjoy the fruits tomorrow, but I can guarantee you that there will be a time when you sit down, relax, enjoying a glass of wine or any form of drink or beverage which you enjoy the most, and seeing where you've actually what you've achieved in life, where you came from. I didn't do well in my ordinary levels in school back home in Zimbabwe, but then I put that to sleep. When I came here, I opened a very fresh page and told myself that I'm an African, and African don't give in easily. We really, really have that die hard attitude. I mean, we fight for everything we want, and we want it. We get it if we really put in more effort. So please work hard, focus, study, do whatever you can, and please don't ignore your talent. Talent really, really helps a lot. If you work towards your talent or something which you admire the most, really, or passion, it pays as well. So go for it, work hard, never look back or never turn back. Don't look at what other people are doing. Don't look at your neighbor, don't look at the next door. Don't check what they're cooking because you don't know what's on their menu on the evening. Just focus with what you want on the day, you'll get it.
Wow, that's another great gem, Joseph. Joseph, mentorship or advising of others. Are you available for mentorship? Do you have mentors that you work with, and would you like to mentor other Africans as well?
Of course, yes. A day spent without learning something new is a day wasted. And also, you're going to have to give. You're going to have to teach other people. You're going to have to work with other people each and every day for you to grow. So there is a lady by the name of Caroline Madziva. She's from Madziva, actually, in Zimbabwe. And she reached out to me some other time, a couple of years ago. And then she told me a story. She wanted to get into the wine industry. She came down, I taught her. Now she owns a wine brand and she's based in Zim at the moment. So it's something which I admire, adore, really. If I see my protege doing very well, you know, I feel better by helping other people because I know for a fact she's going to help 10 more people. You know what I mean? And it actually loosens up my weight. Now, if someone in Zimbabwe want to know more about wine, I'll just say, Caroline, please, can you help this person? You know what I mean? So there is no better feeling than that you have when you see your protege doing well. And there's no replacement of doing good things.
Wow. Lastly, as we wrap up the show, I know you have won some awards and you have some accolades with Mosi Wines. Would you like to share with us?
Well, thank you very much. So some of them I won. People may think that I won alone, but again, it was more of a teamwork. I mean, obviously, the credit is always given to the coach of the team or sometimes the captain, but then the 11 players in the football pitch. Once again, in 2015, I was the third best wine tester in South Africa, which booked my ticket to go to France, south of France, which was at Auger in Châteauneuf, whereby we gathered with other countries. It was a World Cup of wine. So I represented South Africa in the World Cup in 2015, and we were number 12 out of 20 countries. Then in 2017, I founded Team Zimbabwe to go to the same competition. Then I went there as a captain. We didn't do well. We only managed to beat Italy. So we were 24 out of 25. We went back again in 2018 as a captain.
But beating Italy, that's quite something.
It was such a great achievement because Italy has been making wines for more than 100 years, like for centuries. No, well, I would say for almost 1,000 years. Because South Africa has been making wines for 350 years. Italy is close to 1,000 years. So beating them for us, for me, was such a great achievement. I mean, most people really may not buy it, but Italians, yeah, we managed to beat them on that year. Then 2018, we came 14th out of 26 countries. We beat England, we beat USA, we beat Italy again, we beat Spain, we didn't beat England, sorry, we beat Spain, we managed to beat Spain, Netherlands, among other countries. So which was such a great thing as well, great feeling. Then in 2019 until today, I am Eat Out Best Sommelier. I've got an accolade here very close to me, which is that.
Wow.
So yeah, so those are the few things which I've achieved thus far. So yeah, well, Mosi Wines have actually done tremendously well. We managed to get good reviews from people like Jancis Robinson, who is really one of the most respected. If we pick 3 or 4 in the world, her name sticks out always. She liked our wines. She gave our Chenin Blanc 17.5 out of 20, and Syrah 16.5 out of 20. So we honored.
Wow, great. Joseph, thank you so much for joining us, for sparing the time. We know you are a very busy man, but you decided to take some time to have a chat with us, and we cannot take that for granted.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much, and stay safe.
Thank you so much. That
Excellent.
was Joseph Dhafana, owner of Mosi Wines. If you know of any other African entrepreneurs that would like us to showcase, we are here to showcase our people across the world that are doing brilliant work. And the intention is that we can find mentorship amongst ourselves, we find encouragement amongst ourselves, and we can share ideas of the things that we are doing out there, and also to celebrate our own people. My name is Stanford Chinyai, and this has been a Baobab Chats production. Thank you. See you in the next show.
Actually, very important to me and other wine producers, because they do such a tremendous job, really, to work in such a immense heat, like 28, 30 degrees Celsius. They're busy, really harvesting, so that we can actually have good quality, good products, so we can also enjoy the wine. So let's really give them actually so much respect, really. So yeah, thank you very much for your support. God bless you.